Quiet down. Good afternoon, and welcome to today's New York City Council hearing from the Committee on Mental Health, Disabilities, and Addiction, jointly with the Committee on Hospitals. At this time, I'd like to remind everyone to please silence their electronic devices, and at no point going forward is anyone to approach the dais. If you'd like to sign up to testify in person, you can do so by filling out a form at the table in the back with the Sergeant at Arms. And if you have any questions throughout the hearing, please feel free to ask one of the Sergeant at Arms for assistance. Chairs, we are ready to begin.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Councilmember Linda Lee, Chair of Committee on Mental Health, Disabilities, and Addictions, and I want to thank Councilmember Mercedes Narcisse, Chair on the Committee of Hospitals, for joining this hearing on evaluating access to health care for patients with disabilities. Before I begin, I would like to recognize that we've been joined by the following council members: Councilmember Lewis, Rivera, and we also have Councilmember Moya online. And I'll just go right in. There are almost 1 million people in New York City living with disabilities, and more than half have a physical or mobility disability. These numbers are not abstract. They represent our neighbors, coworkers, family members, and constituents, people who deserve the same quality of care as anyone else. Unfortunately, we know that that is not the case. Studies show that adults with physical disabilities face persistent structural barriers to accessing health care, particularly primary and preventive care. Many medical facilities still lack accessible exam tables, mammography machines, I'm surprised I said that word correctly, and trained staff. Too often, this results in people with disabilities being referred elsewhere, or worse, going without care altogether. The reality is that these barriers result in worse health outcomes for adults with disabilities, more chronic illness, more preventable hospitalizations, and tragically shorter lifespans. We also know that these disparities are not the result of individual failure, but of systemic gaps in how our healthcare system is designed. And when Chair Narcisse and I were going through the materials last week to prep, we wanted to be very clear, this is not placing blame on any one particular person, agency. We know that this is a very challenging issue that we want to try to start peeling the layers back of how we address a lot of these issues so that our disabled community and those that are most marginalized are actually getting the healthcare services that they need. Doctors and health professionals are doing critical work under immense pressure, but we can and must work together to ensure every New Yorker, regardless of ability, has equitable access to care. That starts with identifying where the system is falling short, and then taking action to make sure it is more inclusive, more responsive, and more just. Today, we will hear from the administration, advocates, and community members about services that are provided, barriers that adults with disabilities continue to face, and hopefully, solutions that can bring meaningful change. I look forward to this conversation and to working with all of you to build a healthcare system that truly serves everyone in our city. In conclusion, I want to thank my staff and the committee staff for their work on this hearing, as well as the administration for being here, and members of the public who are here to testify. We look forward to hearing from each of you. With that, I will pass the mic to Chair Narcisse for her opening statement.
Thank you, Chair. Good afternoon, everyone. I am Councilmember Mercedes Narcisse, Chair of the Committee on Hospitals. I'd like to start by extending my thanks to Chair Lee and the Committee on Mental Health, Disabilities, and Addiction for convening this hearing so that we can discuss the city's effort to improve accessibility for New Yorkers. And most importantly, thank you for the panelists that's here present. The most recently available data indicates that 11% or 1 million New Yorkers live with a disability. Of those 1 million individuals, approximately 600,000 people experience ambulatory or mobility-related disabilities. Yet, many of New York City's hospital facilities were built before the passage of the Disabilities Act and do not meet current accessibility standards. This means there are 600,000 New Yorkers who may inadvertently face obstacles in receiving the health care they need and they deserve. Like my colleagues just said, we're not pointing fingers. We're just trying to make sure the people that need their help they deserve can get it. Even in facilities with updated infrastructures, patients often face inaccessibility exam tables, signages, and diagnostic equipment. Moreover, studies show that inaccessibility of healthcare provider facilities causes worse health outcomes for patients with disabilities. As a registered nurse, I know firsthand that accessibility, particularly in medical spaces, is absolutely necessary for maintaining the health of our community members living with a disability and the collective health of our city. While we still have much to do, we are encouraged by the changes we have seen in healthcare spaces across the city. There are several renovation projects taking place as we speak, and we look forward to hearing from the administration today about their progress. This committee and this council are committed to ensuring that no person is excluded from receiving appropriate medical care due to their disability. We'll continue to invest in our healthcare facilities and work with H&H, DOHMH, and MOPD to eliminate barriers for individuals with disabilities and seek to provide equitable medical care for all New Yorkers across our city. Before we begin, I'd like to thank the committee staff, Senior Legislative Counsel Ria Ogazawara, and policy analyst Josh Newman for their hard work in preparing for this hearing. I also would like to thank my staff, Chief of Staff Sai Joseph, Deputy Chief Frank Shea, and Stephanie Lynn, my scheduler, and of course, Irina Clever, the Director of Constituent Services, for their hard work as we continue to serve the City Council and our constituents. Before I rest, I want to say rest in peace, the Pope Francis, and all my Roman Catholic brothers and sisters. You have an angel above. Thank you. Now I'll turn it over to Chair Lee.
Great, thank you. Before I give pass the mic over to our council, just wanted to recognize we've also been joined by Councilmember Marmorato. And now we'll pass the mic to Committee Counsel to administer the oath.
Now, in accordance with the rules of the council, I will administer the affirmation to the witnesses from the mayoral administration. Please raise your right hand. Do you affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in your testimony before this committee and to respond honestly to council member questions? Thank you. Prior to delivering your testimony, please state your name and title for the record, and you may begin when ready.
Is it on? Okay. Good afternoon. I am Commissioner Christina Curry, Mayor's Office, People with Disabilities. So good afternoon, Chair Narcisse, Chair Lee, and members of the Committee on Hospitals and Committee on Mental Health, Disabilities, and Addiction. Thank you for holding this important hearing. It would be nice if I put my glasses on, right? I am joined by Emily Sweet, General Counsel at MOPD, as well as from the Department of Health and Mental Hygiene, DOHMH, Julie Friesen, Deputy Commissioner of Administration. From Health and Hospitals, H&H, we have Iva Les Mendez Justiniano, Chief Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Officer, and Manny Saez, Vice President of Facilities. I come to this work not only as a public servant, but also as a member of the disability community. At MOPD, our vision is for all city programs and services, including healthcare, to be accessible and equitable for the nearly 1 million New Yorkers living with disabilities. We know that for many in our community, accessing healthcare remains a challenge. These challenges range from physically inaccessible exam rooms and diagnostic equipment to communication barriers and a lack of culturally competent care. We appreciate that our city partners at Health and Hospitals and the Department of Health and Mental Hygiene are actively engaging on these issues. We have seen meaningful steps to address facility access, integrate ASL interpretation into appointments, and expand on digital accessibility for telehealth platforms, and develop disability awareness training, all of which are still in progress. We also recognize that the lived experience of many New Yorkers with disabilities reveal where the gaps remain. They point to a broader need for sustained attention and systemic improvement. MOPD stands ready to support our agency partners in advancing solutions, whether through technical assistance or ongoing trainings. We are committed to serving as a bridge between government systems and the disability community, ensuring that people with disabilities are not only included in conversations about health care, but centered in how we design and deliver care across the city. Let me close with a reminder of a powerful motto from the disability community: nothing about us without us. Thank you again for your leadership on this important issue. On behalf of myself and my colleagues from NYC Health and Hospitals and the Department of Health and Mental Hygiene, we welcome your questions and look forward to our continued partnership. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Curry. We've also been joined by Council Members Abreu and Bottcher. And I know, Commissioner Curry, you and I have had many conversations around this topic, and I so thank you for all your advocacy and work around this important issue. So let me go ahead and just start off with a few questions, and then I'll hand it off, because I know Councilmember Lewis has to leave soon, so I'll hand it off to her after that. So how can we at the council and other government entities help increase and facilitate access to adequate and quality health care for adults with physical disabilities in New York City? I know that's a very loaded question.
Well, fortunately, I have General Counsel with me, Emily Sweet.
So the question is, I'm sorry, could you repeat the question?
Just how we on the council, as well as other government entities, can help increase and facilitate access to adequate and quality health care, especially with those with physical disabilities in New York City.
So what the council could do, I mean, it's a very loaded question, I would say. So I'm not at liberty to request specific legislation. So I think having a hearing like this at this time is a great first step. So I think you're on the right track and doing the right thing. So collecting information via forums such as this is a great start.
And I guess we'll go more into the weeds in a little bit, because I'm more interested, and I think Chair Narcisse also is interested in what some of the biggest barriers are. We know that, for example, some of the equipment that is needed is very expensive. So a lot of the physicians and doctors opt not to sometimes see folks that have disabilities because it is so costly for them, but that's more on a private practice side perhaps and in smaller clinics. But you know, just off the bat, in terms of, I don't know if this is a question also more for anyone on the panel, but just how, you know, we can, what some of the biggest barriers have been in the hospital settings at H&H.
H&H, would you like to speak to that?
Hi, good afternoon. Manny Saez, Vice President of Facilities for H&H. The biggest barriers that we have faced is being able to not only handle our new construction and all of our new renovations, but also being able to, and we've done a very good job of bringing this up to speed, is providing all of the retrofitting that we've done, because our hospitals have been so vintage, right? That we've been able to bring a lot of our spaces up to code as we follow code relative to CMS, as a federal agency, the State Department of Health, and other regulatory agencies that we abide by.
Okay. So that's definitely going to be a topic I know that Chair Narcisse is going to bring up later, more in detail. So going back, sorry, to MOPED, can you please provide an update on the work that's being done by digital inclusion officers across city agencies? How has that been going? How do officers monitor materials for accessibility? And what is the process for someone to submit a concern if a document or website is not accessible?
Okay, so let's give you an update on what we call the DIO program, Digital Inclusion Officer. You couldn't hear me.
The irony.
No, welcome to my world. So let's try this again. We're going to give you our updates on the Digital Inclusion Officer Program, otherwise known as DIO. And the DIO acts as an agency digital accessibility advocate. So that person is responsible for checking all of the access that, as per law, someone would look into, be it their website, et cetera. The programs right now is a voluntary program. There are 41 agencies that have a designated DIO to date, as compared to the fact that there are more than 65 agencies that have posted their 5-year plan. Most of the 41 DIOs have completed MOPD's suite of trainings. Some of the ones who were designated more recently have not. Each DIO is currently working on completing an audit of one of their agency's websites and putting together a limited inventory of their agency's digital assets. So how do we monitor materials? Each agency's process is different based on their size and needs. Some agencies, such as DOH-MH, have put in place a policy requiring an accessibility review of all documents prior to posting and distributing. Since the DIO program began several months ago, most agencies are currently working on figuring it out, how to make this work. As part of the DIO role, they should be checking a sample of documents for accessibility. This informs them of the areas of need so they can address it through training. Also, you want to know the process for submitting a complaint about digital accessibility. Substantially, all agencies, regardless of whether they have a DIO, have website accessibility statements on their website that includes information about how to report an issue with the accessibility of content on the site. Most agencies have opted to include the city's website accessibility feedback form in their website accessibility statement. I just want to say one thing. This is a huge program. The fact that it's a voluntary program and we have 40 agencies thus far involved, that's a good thing, and it's a testament to our work and our collaborative efforts with our colleagues sitting at this table here.
Definitely agree on that. And if someone is on the website and wants to make a complaint, do they usually typically go through each city agency? Does each agency on their own website have the ability, and then also, is it MOPED or is it DOH-MH ultimately that, I just want to clarify, that sort of is in charge of keeping those other city agency websites accountable and making sure that they upgrade or improve their websites?
Okay, so that's a multi-part question. I'll try to answer
you.
each part. So I think the first part was,
Right, so if I, from
Yeah.
the public,
Oh, right.
I'm on the
Okay. Member
website
of
and
the
have a
public.
complaint, yeah.
yeah, so substantially all agencies should have a website accessibility statement, and I believe almost substantially all do. So they include, most of them include the website accessibility feedback form there. There's also Office of Technology and Innovation. If it's a city-hosted website, there's also something that's just there as a matter of course, a little wheelchair symbol on the bottom of the page, and the accessibility symbol, and that leads also to the city accessibility, website accessibility, a citywide website accessibility statement. So if it's a city-hosted website, then it might be a little harder to find or easier to find depending on your opinion, but there is a way on all city-hosted websites to do that.
And then ultimately, which agency is in charge of overseeing that each of these websites are compliant or that they're up to whatever the regulations are? And the reason why I ask that is because if it is Moped, we all know that they have a super, super tiny, tiny budget. So she's laughing because she knows it. We've talked about this before. It is literally, I think, one of the smallest budgets that I've seen, at least in the city, compared to different city agencies. I think at this point it's around 400,000. And I think that I'm hoping that that does not fall on you guys, but if it does, we need to make sure that you have the resources to be able to oversee the compliance of a lot of these websites. So I just wanted to hear from you about that.
So the Office of Technology and Innovation creates an accessible template. And I can't speak in detail about this, but in general, they create what should be an accessible template for, and I don't remember the name of it, for all city agency websites who use that template. But agencies are responsible for their own content that they post on that website. So that's what the DIO program is about, is making sure that the content that's posted on the website and any changes that someone might make, right, that the website is still going to be accessible and the content there is going to be accessible. So it falls on, OTI is giving the tools, and then the individual agencies are responsible for making sure that the content is accessible.
Okay, and are they the ones also that are holding agencies accountable if they're not in compliance?
So is OTI?
Yes.
I think that's a question for OTI.
Okay.
Yeah.
Basically, I guess what I'm trying to get at is I just want to know which agency is in charge of overseeing everything and in keeping folks accountable.
Right. It's not MOPD. It's not MOPD.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good to know. Okay, so hopefully we'll figure that out. If you could get back to us on that, though, that would be great.
Sure.
If you have the answer. Okay, so moving on to the next question. Are housing providers and developers required to take MOPD's trainings on barrier-free construction and ADA compliance?
Okay.
The question was whether housing providers.
Providers, yes.
Okay.
And developers are
And
required.
developers. Okay.
I can hear that. Sure. Okay, so we currently do not have any trainings geared towards building developers. We can tell you what we provide, and that would be high-level digital and physical accessibility trainings, such as what we've provided for Okay.
Did you hear me say DOHMH?
Okay, yeah.
Sorry.
Accessibility Liaison Committee. We have live, in-person, or virtual disability etiquette and awareness trainings. And in addition to that, one second. We also provide deaf-specific disability etiquette trainings, but that doesn't really pertain to what you just asked about the building developers.
Okay, and do you all have a partnership or interagency a group that you meet with regularly, for example, with Department of Buildings, as well as I could imagine Department for the Aging and other city agencies, where you can go through some of the issues? Because I would imagine a lot of the buildings, given how old they are, they may not be compliant. Some of them are grandfathered, which means they don't have to comply. So I'm just curious to know if there is sort of an ongoing record keeping and tracking of how to handle some of those building developers that need to address some of these issues.
Code what?
Code Revision Committee.
Okay. Yes, we have the code provision committees, but in addition, we do talk. We have other agencies that we meet with. You mentioned Department of Aging. We do talk regularly with members from DOHMH and from H&H as well, in addition to a lot of other city agencies.
So in MOPED's 2024 report, we saw that MOPED conducted 24 site assessments to facilitate ADA compliance and issued approximately 40 ADA code recommendations. Are site assessments done on existing buildings, or are they done for current construction projects?
Okay. So the site visits mentioned in MOPD's year-end press release were mostly to assess venues that were being considered for city-hosted events.
Okay.
So, for example, we visited many of the sites that were being considered for the series of hiring halls that the city hosted in 2024 and provided feedback as to whether the site was appropriate from an accessibility perspective and guidance as to what additional accessibility features, such as materials in alternative formats and additional signage, should be put in place for the day of the event.
Got it. Okay. So not necessarily for residential buildings per se, or for, assessing that piece of it, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. And then is there some partnership between MOPED and DOB when it comes to, let's just say I live in a building where the landlord is not being helpful if I need ADA accessible services? How does that then go through the chain and up the ladder in partnership with DOB as well as MOPED?
So when MOPD receives a complaint from a constituent like that, depending on the nature of the complaint, we would likely refer it to either CCHR or to DOB.
And then depending on what the finding is of that case, if let's just say they find out that the building does need to in fact be in compliance, then how does the city go through that process of ensuring that they're complying?
So MOPD would not be involved in that aspect once the case is referred out.
Let me ask a slightly different question. Should they be part of that process, or do you think that you should have input in that? And the reason why I ask that is because I oftentimes feel that your department should probably be consulted more often in a lot of these decisions and are often not at the table. So that's why I'm just trying to figure out if perhaps there is a way where we can figure out an interagency partnership there. I
think that's something we could take under advisement and discuss further.
Not to give you more work, Commissioner Curry, but I feel like you have a lot of value added. So I just want to make sure that the voices of the disabilities community is part of that process, because oftentimes with a lot of decisions we make at the city, we often say, oh, okay, if they had been brought to the table in the beginning, initially from the start, then we could have avoided a lot of things having to be redone. So with that same mindset and vein, I feel like oftentimes MOPED should be at the table having a lot of these conversations with various different city agencies. So I just wanted to put that on record. Let me pause there and actually, we've also been joined by, I was going to say Commissioner Caban. Sorry, Councilmember Caban, because I'm thinking Commissioner Curry, sorry. But yes, we've been joined by Councilmember Caban, and then I'll pass it off to Councilmember Lewis.
Thank you, Chair Lee and Chair Narcisse, and thank you all for being here today. I just have two quick questions. Awareness and access to disability service facilitators. Every agency is required to have a disability service facilitator, yet many constituents remain unaware of this resource, especially when interacting with city agencies that do not actively promote or offer clear pathways for DSFs. What is MOPD doing to increase visibility and access to DSFs across all agencies? And how can a person with disability who is having difficulty accessing or navigating city services receive support from a DSF without already knowing they exist? Thank you.
That's a great question. And we do try to mention the DSF program in our outreach, or whenever we meet with the community in our quarterly community calls, we mention the DSF program and the webpage nyc.gov/DSF, where the contact information for all DSFs is listed. But if there's something more we could be doing, that's definitely a good conversation we could have.
Definitely a partnership with community boards, because they have made a lot of complaints that a lot of constituents don't know where to go and how to navigate it. So it'd be great if your agencies can partner with local community boards citywide to provide them with the information to share with constituents.
It's a fantastic idea.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Chair Lee. Thank you, Chair Narcisse.
Awesome. Okay, and I'll hand it over to Chair Narcisse.
Thank you, Chair Lee. My question toward H&H. How does H&H ensure access for those who may have disabilities relating to mobility?
Thank you, Councilmember. H&H complies with all local, state, and federal requirements, as I mentioned earlier. The public agency is governed by CMS and the New York State Department of Health. H&H has corridors that are large enough that do not restrict travel with ADA compliance. H&H hallways and handrails assist people where they need more stability when walking. And H&H restrooms and accommodations such as wider stalls and other accessories instead of restrooms are also ADA compliant. Access ramps are installed in all H&H buildings to facilitate movement throughout. Elevators are easily operated and have ADA compliant controls. And there are also instances where we make accommodations for people who need additional support, like lighting, ergonomic furniture, and automatic doors. Thank you.
Thank you. What policies does H&H have to ensure plus-size individuals can receive the health care that they deserve? I heard some part of it that you were saying, so can you highlight a little more on that?
Sure, thank you. H&H is committed to providing excellence in healthcare. Our providers work together to provide comprehensive, personalized care to all New Yorkers. H&H can accommodate bariatric patients in large gantry CT scanners and other accommodations where that is required. Thank you.
So very much I can say that everything is accessible when it comes to disabled populations.
Well, we need
H&H.
that additional support, yes.
How many sections of 1557 complaints did H&H receive relating to disability discrimination in the last year? What is H&H process for handling complaints? And have any section of 1557 complaints gone to the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services?
Iveles Mendez, New York City Health and Hospitals. So we have had no documented complaints regarding disability discrimination in response to 1557. We do have a centralized grievance mechanism where we have each patient experience officer at every facility, which will conduct intake of any facilities, and then they're also brought up to the Office of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. To our knowledge, we have had no documented complaints that have been escalated to U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
I'm very proud to say I work at H&H. Okay, is H&H working to increase its compliance with standards put out by the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines? Can you explain in which ways you do and do not align with WCAG levels, AAA standards, to which you rate yourself as partially compliant?
So we are constantly improving our services and increasing compliance with our standards. We are actually putting a plan together to strategize our approach to maintaining alignment with the WCH standards and guidelines. We currently have, as our Commissioner Curry stated earlier, we have our website accessibility statement, which is available via our external internet. We also provide a mechanism web accessibility feedback form to make it easier for individuals to make any complaints, suggestions, or have any questions. We also discuss and raise awareness to help ensure our product designers, developers, content creators to continue to think about the need to focus on accessibility and WCAG guidelines. We currently work with Site Improve, which is a software that provides us with a real-time dashboard that allows us to have insight into where we stand in terms of compliance with the different levels of this WCAG.
From my understanding, I just want to find out, have you received any complaints from the website by any chance?
Not to my knowledge, we have not.
Not to your knowledge, okay. How often do H&H clinicians, physicians, registered nurse, physician assistant receive training on how to provide appropriate, respectful care for the patients with disabilities? Are those training developed or conducted in consultation with third-party experts on disabilities rights?
Thank you for that question. So all employees are trained upon hire through the system New Employer Orientation. They receive training on providing culturally competent care. They also receive training on unconscious bias. In addition to that, this past year, we launched a Let's Talk Disabilities training, where individuals attend the training are being taught all the differences between visible and invisible or non-visible challenges. They also receive disability ally pins so that patients can clearly identify them. Some of the trainings are conducted internally. Some are conducted in partnership with different organizations, such as the Helen Keller Foundation. We have also put forth a training that is called the Low Vision Patient Experience Simulation Training, which allows providers, nurses, clinicians, and any staff that wishes to participate on what it feels like to be someone with low vision. And here I brought another sample, which we provide to participants, which allows them to view the space as someone with low limited visual would have. And this allows them to be able to understand what a patient is feeling when they come in.
Okay. So I'm assuming you partner with Helen Keller Foundation.
Yes.
Good. Are they real-time Braille, ASL, closed captioning, and card services that are available for patients who are deaf or hard of hearing or who are blind to have limited visions? Are communication accommodation available for check-ins and other administrative communication in addition to their appointments with clinicians?
Absolutely, thank you for that question. So we have video remote interpretation available to patients. We also have on-site interpretation available to patients 24 hours, 7 days a week. In addition to that, patients that come in and they use MyChart. We also have high contrast features which allow individuals to access the content in an easier manner. In addition to that, we have, as you mentioned, we have card services available to everyone in the system.
In regards to the NYC H&H Coney Island Hospital, is the hospital operationalized yet, or is construction still ongoing? If the construction is still ongoing, what is the expected timeline for completion?
Thank you, Councilmember. The New York City Health and Hospital South Brooklyn campus is fully operational and opened up in the fall of 2022. The hospital is fully in use and final commissioning work is commencing, as well as punch list items to finalize all of the closeout procedures.
Okay. What specific technology will be available at the new critical services tower at South Brooklyn, let me stop saying Coney Island, that are designed to improve accessibility for patients with mobility-related disabilities?
So once again, we are fully compliant with all ADA requirements, and the Ruth Gator Ginsburg Tower is a fully operational, modern, state-of-the-art facility that provides all the necessary accessibilities for folks that need that kind of support.
Yeah. Some of the question, I'm being specific because I want the answers, because I don't want, when we continue the hearing, when we have people testifying in here different, and you already gone, and then we still have to figure it out and send you a question. That's the reason I have to keep on asking you those questions.
Understood.
Like I said, when we were talking, we are hoping that everything we ask you, you're gonna be perfect on point with them, because that's what we expected from H&H, especially public hospital in New York City. So far, I would say thank you. The Accessibility New York City report, released in 2021, highlights $2.5 million in city council investment for capital improvement projects to renovate New York City H&H campuses at Sydenham, Morrisania, Cumberland, and Woodhull to improve accessibility. Can you please describe the progress of the projects at these campuses and what specific renovation are being done to improve accessibility?
Thank you, Council Member. So for this particular question, to be fully comprehensive, we just require just a little bit more time, if I can be granted, to do some more research and make sure that we have a fully comprehensive answer.
Okay. How many of the H&H Hospital location or Gotham Health Center campuses have facilities that have been specifically renovated or updated to implement accessibility function for patients who are wheelchair bound?
So all of our H&H facilities have corridors that are large enough to not have any restricted travel. H&H complies with all local and federal requirements, once again. As a public agency under the federal guidelines of CMS and the State Department of Health, we work towards ensuring that all of our spaces meet ADA compliance in our Gotham sites. For example, New York City, East New York is currently going under an ADA renovation for its restrooms.
The reason I'm curious about those questions is because we have some old building that I know you took over. So I just want to make sure those old building, are they accessible, wheelchair accessible? They have folks, because I know if we're doing that hearing, because we're hearing some. So that's why I want to be specific on those questions from the old structures. Are they accessible, fully accessible? Are there any other ongoing renovation projects that are being considered for H&H facilities that we have not yet touched upon?
As previously mentioned as an example, was East New York, that's working through its ADA compliance in its restrooms.
Sorry.
Sorry.
Technology.
No, understand. And the design is complete for the facility, and we're working to procure construction services to complete the project. That's the one project that we're focused on when it comes to Gotham Health in East New York.
Okay. Does H&H provide any ways for patients with disability to report, if any? I think you had answered that. Just okay. Does H&H have any ongoing policies that are aimed specifically at providing resources and career opportunities for employees with disabilities? And if so, have those initiatives received any feedback? Sorry again. Who's connected? Going.
So all employees have access to our Employee Resource Center, which provides opportunities to training resources, benefits, EEO, as well as career opportunities. They are not isolated to disabled employees. However, they are available to all.
Thank you. Do commercial insurance companies, Medicare, Medicaid, have different requirements for reimbursement for telehealth if the patient experiences a mobility-related disability?
Commercial insurance companies do not have different requirements for telehealth patients.
That's a great concern, because when it comes for H&H, maybe a little different, but Shirley and I were talking about the private facility, the clinic. So if they don't have that, how could they partner? I'm looking at ways, maybe you can give me that idea, because I'm looking at ways for those offices that near the hospital, if they can partner in a way, because we putting a requirement over folks, and then we're not taking in consideration the financial part burden on them and force them to close. And we need, especially in the Black and brown communities, we need to make sure those doors are open to give access to healthcare that we promised in New York City. So I don't know what kind of outreach that H&H can do within the community, because I know one of the things when I used to work for H&H, we used to go out there, we used to have partners to go in the facilities nearby to see how we can support each other. I don't know if are you still doing that for H&H?
We do partner with community-based organizations. We have partnered with Disability Unite. We participated in the Disability Festival. We are happy to explore additional partnership opportunities.
Because like say for scale, someone want to get on a scale, the doctor is probably not gonna make an investment for a very large scale. And then if the H&H or nonprofit organization that you partner with, the person can go and wait. I'm just looking for a different option because it's expensive. I used to have a DME, and I know those equipment can be very expensive. And if the doctor only have one client, and now you know how difficult that would be for them to make that investment specifically for one patient that they want to provide care to. So I'm thinking, so in my way of thinking, I'm asking you, can you explore it with me to see how we can make it effective to provide care with folks with disability in our communities?
Happy to partner and explore.
Okay. When EMS and EMT personnel transfer custody of a patient from an ambulance to a hospital personnel, what type of procedure does everyone follow to ensure that appropriate accommodations are made for individuals with disabilities? Are there any training provided by this process, this specific process?
This would be an area that we would have to explore more, as this involves FDNY, and I do not have all the information.
How often does H&H reviews their website and other digital resources to ensure that all materials are compliant with current accessibility standard?
So
How often?
we review and update the policies based on changes in legislature as well as regulatory requirements. So as these requirements come up, the hospital goes through all their review processes.
So how often?
Usually on a yearly basis, on an annual basis, we'll review.
Does H&H communicate with patients if they have knowledge of neighboring public transportation hubs or infrastructures is not accessible? For example, if the train subway station close to a hospital facility is undergoing renovation and their elevator is out of order, will H&H post that information publicly or communicate those barriers ahead of patient's appointment?
To my knowledge, we have not.
Can we look into how, because like I always tell my folks that work for me, something that may not be important to you, like chokes and diapers, but for those folks that are using it, is a life-saving time for them. So can you look at that? Because people are complaining about, like sometimes they come out of their way to go to an appointment, and by the time they get close, they cannot actually go and get that, get to the doctors because of limitation of access elevators or train stations and stuff like that. Can healthcare providers bill for accommodation and accessibility services? Are they adequately reimbursed for providing qualified ASL interpreters, for example? Are there caps on reimbursement for certain services? I think you said no, they don't provide anything extra.
No.
You had to answer that,
Yes.
which we should look into. What are the barriers to implementing accessible healthcare? It is primarily cost training. How can the council work with H&H and the city to improve access to healthcare for patients with disabilities?
I think that when you talk about healthcare for patients with disabilities, a barrier, as always, are the resources, having the manpower to do it, having the funds to go out there, conduct the outreach. Those are two ways that we could receive assistance.
Thank you. Has H&H considered the impact of potential cuts to Medicaid and how this would impact the provision of services, especially for adults with disabilities?
So we have considered the impacts. We have not seen any changes right now in terms of funding. However, we will continue to monitor to ensure, based on our mission and our vision, we provide services to all, and we will continue to provide services for all.
Thank you, and I appreciate your time. So now I'll pass it on back to Chair Lee.
Okay, and I have questions for DOHMH, but I'll ask those after we let our members ask some questions. So first up, we have Councilmember Mamarato.
Thank you, Chair. So I just wanted to talk to the H&H people about radiology exams. And I know that you had mentioned usually when a plus-size patient comes in, you have a larger gantry. But a lot of times the tables have weight limits. Can you kind of go over what your weight limits on a larger gantry table would be? Are you aware of it? Because I think it's usually about 350.
Yeah, what I can say is that the tables are meant to exceed the weight limits. Specificities on what exactly they are, I would have to do some research and just return that with a comprehensive.
Yeah, and it just doesn't stop at CT. I mean, if you want to do a breast biopsy, I know for a fact the table is 350. That's the max. You cannot raise the table up. There's bone density exams. There's a lot of different exams that plus-size patients need to have as a medical necessity. And I just want to make sure that Health and Hospitals is doing their job to make sure that this happens and that we can accommodate these patients. What type of MRI units do you have at H&H? Because usually with a smaller bore, again, weight limits on the table, but you cannot fit a larger patient into the machine because you can put them at risk for skin burns and other issues.
We do have larger machines. To give you all the specificity, I'd really would just like to research that and give you a fully comprehensive answer on all the different types of MRIs that we have.
Okay, I would like to actually come for a site visit at my hospital in Jacobi Hospital, if that would be possible, if you can set that up, because I feel like it's important for us to treat these patients with dignity and respect, and just a CT, it just doesn't end there. There's so many different exams that they have to have, and we have to make sure that they're being treated properly. Okay, all right, well, thank you. Just want to.
Thank you, Councilmember. And next we have Councilmember Bottcher.
Hi, how are you? I have a question for Commissioner Curry regarding Access-a-Ride, because one of the major barriers to accessing healthcare for people with disabilities, as we all know, is transportation. And Access-a-Ride, I've seen improvements with it since I've been involved in government. It has gotten better over the last 15 years, and we hear that anecdotally, but we also continue to hear frustrations from our constituents about Access-a-Ride, missed appointments, lateness. What is your evaluation of Access-a-Ride as the commissioner of the mayor's office for people with disabilities? What are you hearing from your constituency, and what efforts are you aware of that are underway to make it better?
First, thank you for the question. That's a loaded question. I can say this, that MOPD has increased their involvement with the MTA to the point where I know where some of them live and I can track them down if I have to, but I didn't say that. Let's face it.
We'll strike that from the record, Chair.
Yeah.
Kidding.
Thank you. No, in all seriousness, wow, that is a question that involves a lot of different answers depending on the day, who I've spoken to. I think you would be better served talking to MTA. What I can say is that MOPD is here to assist the community, listen to what they have to say about their complaints and their positive comments as well, and we take that back to the MTA to let them know what we are hearing, both good and bad, but we're also advising the constituency that they have to let all of you know what's going on, how they feel about it, be it negative, be it positive, but they have to be heard. And what we do know is a lot of times they, meaning the constituents, will let us know, and then that's it. You're right, some improvements have occurred. I've been in the field for a very long time, and I will say it's gotten better, but
just a little better, not a lot better. And we can, look, I think it's not personal against the folks at the MTA, you know, the hardworking folks at the MTA. They are, in many respects, inheriting the system that was there when they started working there, and they're limited with respect to funding and stuff. But I think, you know, there needs to be real talk with them about how this is going. And we have to be, you know, very honest with them about what needs to improve. And, you know, if on a scale of 1 to 10, if they're like a 5, that's not acceptable. And we have to lay out what steps need to be taken to get them up to 10 out of 10.
I definitely agree that more can be done. And yes, I do, or MOPD has several different avenues of staying in touch and meeting with the staff at MTA, not just about Access-a-Ride, but about the subway, about the buses, making sure that all of it is accessible for the community. And I have to say this, if you make it fully accessible for the community we serve, you make it accessible for your tourists. You make it accessible for parents with toddlers. You make it accessible for the older adults. So it is our goal to continue working with them, MTA, on a regular basis to make sure that they understand where we're coming from. And then we also like to say, when there are improvements, we like to put that out there for the community as well.
Thank you. Yeah, I feel like we have actually had all-day hearings on Access-a-Ride and with our transportation committee, so that could be an ongoing conversation for sure. Okay, so let me switch over to DOHMH because I don't want you, Deputy Commissioner, to feel left out. So, 'cause you made the time to come here, so no. So, so this is going along with your 5-year accessibility plan that came out in 2024, which identified several physical access issues that should be remedied. So how many DOHMH facilities will need to undergo renovation projects to ensure that doors, elevators, restrooms, exam rooms, and shared communal spaces are accessible for all patients? And is there an estimated timeline for some of these construction projects?
Thank you for that question. I'm Julie Friesen, Deputy Commissioner of Administration for the Health Department. I don't feel left out at all.
Okay.
So thank you for saying that, and thank you for your question. So as you probably know, the Health Department is a relatively small provider of clinical services, healthcare services. We do have a handful of clinics, and they are all accessible. They're all accessible, and our offices are as well. Are they ADA compliant? No, they're not. They're all built prior to 1990. They don't meet those high standards, which are great. We wish they did. It's a work in progress. But we have made sure that all the entry points are accessible, and in our clinic buildings, it goes beyond the entry points. The waiting room areas have movable furniture. The exam tables in the sexual health clinics have power beds and are adjustable. The phlebotomy chairs are accessible. So we do, most of the restrooms are ADA compliant, and we are renovating and retrofitting, as we can. And we have more plans to do so in the future. And we have wheelchair lifts and ramps as well.
Okay, and just out of curiosity, so not that funding is the only indicator, but I feel like depending how much money is in the budget, it is at least one indicator to show how the agency is prioritizing the needs. And so out of the, I don't know if you have the answer to this, but do you know what the total capital budget is for DOHMH facilities? And then what percentage of that is actually being dedicated to upgrading a lot of the facilities to be ADA compliant?
I will have to get back to you on the total number for our capital budget right now, but I can tell you, essentially, I would say all of it is allocated to making our buildings accessible, because every time we renovate, we bring them up to standards, you know? We do have, and you'll see it in our update to our plan, I think, which is coming out in early May, but we have 3 new buildings that will be opening in 2026, and they will all be ADA compliant. You know, one of them is a new public health lab on the campus of Harlem Hospital, and it's a large building. It's going to replace our existing building, which is across from Bellevue Hospital. It'll be state-of-the-art and fully accessible, and that project comprises the majority of our capital budget right now. And we also have a couple of projects. We have a couple of, we do a lot of things. We have a couple of animal shelters that will be opening in 2026, a big one in the Bronx, a new one, and we're renovating the one in Brooklyn right now, and it will be opening. They will be accessible as well. In this past couple of years, we renovated the Staten Island Animal Shelter. It is now accessible. So basically, all of our capital projects have this in mind.
Okay. Perfect, good to know. And I don't know if you can speak for all the different DOHMH facilities, but for those that have not had accessible facility signage in entryways, restrooms, and elevators, have those signage issues been remedied? Do you know?
Yes, I did look into that.
Okay, perfect.
That's a work in progress. We have some Braille signage, mostly around elevators, inside and outside the elevators. Not all our buildings have that, and we are that's definitely a project for this next year. We're doing an assessment for that, and we plan to install more Braille signage.
Okay, if you could keep us updated on that, that would be amazing as well.
Sure.
And have all DOHMH digital materials been updated to improve audiovisual accessibility for people who experience impaired vision or hearing? For example, ensuring that visual materials have been designed with accessibility in mind, or ensuring that all images are accompanied by alternative descriptive text?
Yes, so we have a digital inclusion officer, and I know that our communications people have been working very diligently over this past year to remediate current PDFs that are posted on the agency's website to ensure accessibility. That's a work in progress, but it should be done over the next short while. And what remediation is maybe you know this, but I didn't. It includes ensuring proper document structure and tagging for compatibility with screen readers, using plain language, and ensuring alt text is provided for the images and visuals. So that's being done now, and all new digital projects, including web pages, web tools, and surveys with external audiences for their use, are being reviewed to ensure they're accessible.
Got it, okay. And I have to say, because there was one, I think 2 summers ago, I had an intern who was visually impaired in our office, and I have to say that was one of the most incredible learning experiences for me personally, because I didn't realize also that even in our social media posts, if there's a document, if you attach PDFs versus an image file, that makes a huge difference when you're talking about that accessibility. So I think even things like this would be great for us also on the council to continue to get educated on. But it's good that you are all actually implementing this with your websites, which is great. Can you please describe DOHMH's specific plans to, wait, actually, let me skip that one because you sort of answered that. Has DOHMH taken any specific action to improve workplace inclusion for people with disabilities, and how clear are processes for requesting accommodations?
Yes, I'm actually very proud, if I could just speak about this for a minute, to say all of the work that we've been doing internally, because this started, and thank you for your leadership in this, both of you and all members, in this area because even before the local law passed, we actually created a position at the Health Department. We created a position, a Director of Disability Access and Justice. And this person, who is amazing, who comes from the community and is leading this effort, has done a lot of work to raise awareness and consciousness within the agency, within all of our staff. In the past year, she's done a lot of in-person training for hundreds of people. She has led workshops and, educational events to raise awareness. And another idea she had and that we've launched is the creation of an employee resource group for employees with disabilities and their allies. Anyone can join. We had a kickoff meeting with the former commissioner and chief of staff and myself. We were all there. It was very well attended. It's now grown to 135 people. And many of the people who are members have actually come forward and said, they have disabilities that are not apparent. And they didn't feel comfortable coming forward and indicating, sort of coming out with their disability before that, because they were worried about stigma, potential impacts to their career, and so on. So it's been a really transformative experience, I have to say, within the health department, this whole area of work. I think people feel more included. Of course, we have more to do, but we're demonstrating a real support and encouragement for people with disabilities to come forward. They're doing ASL training. Some employees have volunteered to do this with other employees. That's become very popular. And these are folks who work across the agency in all the different areas of the health department. And I can say they bring that passion and that excitement and wanting to do something within their span of control in their program to sensitize other people in their areas. Just as you were talking about things you could learn and what you learned from having that intern, that's happening at the health department, and it really makes a difference because people will then bring that passion to whatever it is they're doing and want to make some changes.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that. What types of communication training opportunities have DOHMH employees received that were aimed at improving accessibility with external patients and partners?
So the training that we have for employees, there are a few things. First of all employees are mandated to take the DCAS Everybody Matters training, which is all about workplace inclusion in general, but DCAS it's online training. Every city worker is supposed to take it. They track whether you've taken it or not. It's pretty good. It has several modules. So everybody takes that. There is the MOPED's Disability Etiquette and Awareness Training provided by MOPED, which is great. It's available for live training on request. We have had that at the health department. We've also shared the slides from that training. Our Director of Disability Access has shared those slides around our agency and encouraged people to read them. And there is the live training, as I said, that our Disability Access Director provides as well.
Okay. And I'm assuming I can guess the answer to the next question, but do DOHMH's clinical staff receive any training on providing appropriate, respectful care to patients with disabilities? And how often are employees required to take such trainings? I know you asked a similar question, Chair Narcisse.
Yeah, so our clinical staff take the required New York State training, which I believe includes some content around sensitivity and disability access.
Have you received, I'm curious to know what the feedback is of that training from a lot of the clinical staff. Is it something where it's just checking off a box, which I'm sure may be partly true for some folks, but how often is that training reevaluated to make it engaging and to ensure that they're receiving the knowledge that they need?
For the
Yes.
training for clinicians,
Yeah.
the New York State training, we'll have to look into that and get
Okay.
back to you. I'm not familiar with
Perfect,
the
thank you.
details.
Oh yeah, sorry, let me pass this to Chair Narcisse.
Quickly, for the old building, I remember for the elevator, things that can be simple for us. How do they access the elevators? Are we still using Braille in the front, or are we using other technology that I don't know of?
The more modern,
Uh-huh.
you mean?
Mhm.
I'll have to get back to you on that detail. I'm not, I think there's some newer technology that's available for the elevators. Our new lab hasn't opened yet, and so I haven't actually used it myself.
Yeah, because you don't want someone that can be independent have to depend on somebody else to wait how to access.
Yeah.
Even simple as elevator. And
Yes,
that goes
yes.
for H&H too. What is going on there?
In our newer modernized elevators, we have the visuals and hearing components that are in the cabs to help assist.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Chair. And the training, you said you didn't know how often it is being done as DOHMH, right?
For the clinics.
For the
Yeah, the
clinicians.
clinic staff, I
No.
have to get back to you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. I think that's all the questions I have. I feel like there's a lot more to talk about related to this topic, but it encompasses a lot of other city agencies that are not present, so we'll save that for another day. But I want to thank you all for being here and for your testimony and for sharing all your information with us. And that concludes this, the administration portion of our, oh, Commissioner Curry, did you want to say something?
Yes, thank you. Sorry. I just had one comment, well, two. One, thank you for having us here today. This is a great dialogue so we can find out where the gaps are and how to assist. But the second thing is, MOPD is here to educate. Always use any moment as a teachable moment. With that said, verbiage makes a big difference. We do not use the word impaired anymore. We do not use the phrase wheelchair bound because they all have negative connotations. It's the same with if you see the new symbol for the wheelchair, the person's moving and not stagnant, it's the same thing. So we see everything as a possible moment to educate and elevate knowledge about the community. So I just wanted to take that time to say this as well.
So what's the correction? Can you repeat how we supposed to say and say it properly?
Thank you so much for asking that. So what I would do is if someone said wheelchair bound, I would say, oh, you mean the person who uses a wheelchair? Or that person's name, because it's supposed to be focused on the individual. We don't say impaired because, sorry, that's a medical model, and it implies that something is wrong with the individual. So the verbiage has changed now to blind, low vision, deaf, hard of hearing. Because as we say in the community, there's nothing wrong with us. We just do it differently. So that's why we no longer use a lot of the phrases that are still out there. We don't say handicapped, we say disabled, because it gives a different connotation. It means we can, but we just do it differently. Thank you.
Thank you for the lesson, and thank you all the panels for being here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. So we're going to move into public testimony, but just giving a few minutes for us to transition. So hang tight.
That's why I say I want to be politically correct at all times. I don't want to pull your points for low vision. Oh, does that mine? Yes, you can. Okay, thank you. Yeah, there you go. Thank you. Thank you for coming. Thank you, everyone.
Okay. So I'm now opening up the hearing for public testimony. I want to remind members of the public that this is a government proceeding and that decorum shall be observed at all times. As such, members of the public shall remain silent at all times. The witness table is reserved for people who wish to testify. No video recording or photography is allowed from the witness table. Further, members of the public may not present audio or video recordings as testimony, but may submit transcripts of all such recordings to the Sergeant at Arms for the inclusion in the hearing record. If you wish to speak at today's hearing, please fill out an appearance card with the Sergeant at Arms if you have not done so already, and wait to be recognized. When recognized, you will have 2 minutes to speak on the oversight topic, evaluating access to health care for patients with disabilities. If you have a written statement or additional written testimony you wish to submit for the record, please provide a copy of that testimony to the Sergeant at Arms. You may also email written testimony to testimony@council.nyc.gov within 72 hours of this hearing. And believe me when I say our staff, amazing staff, read every single word, so you have up to 72 hours to submit that. Okay, and the first panel that we have, and I apologize ahead of time if I'm mispronouncing anyone's name, Evan sorry, Nina Shields, Andrew Santa Anna, oh, I know that name, and Sun Young Lee. And feel free to go in whichever order, and whenever you're ready to begin, just let us know. Do you want to start? Should we start on this side? Okay, perfect. Make sure your mic is on. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Evan Yankee, Advocacy Director for Brooklyn Center for Independence of the Disabled, disability-led independent living center promoting the rights of New Yorkers to live in the community since 1956. We are pleased this committee is holding this hearing today and giving the current state of healthcare access for patients with disabilities the consideration it deserves. People with disabilities in our city's healthcare system face many barriers to equal access, support, and care. While some of them, including the MTA and the city's shortfall in providing fully accessible transit, fall outside the immediate purview of your committee, the council as a whole can play a crucial role in advocating for them. We urge the council to pass legislation that will require an independent accessibility review of New York City health and hospitals, including physical and communication barriers, with additional requirements that set specific targets for elimination of those barriers. Currently, New Yorkers with disabilities, many of whom depend on New York City H&H, face physical barriers, including poorly accessible buildings, communications barriers, including sketchy availability of ASL interpretation, limited availability of plain language and easy read formats, and inaccessible forms and websites, inflexible office procedures that don't take into account their disabilities, and poorly trained doctors, other medical personnel, and other employees who discriminate against them because of their disabilities, in part because of inadequate training. None of these barriers are immutable. An independent review would start New York City health and hospitals on the way to real accessibility for disabled New Yorkers, especially if there are goals set to change the situation. As part of the independent review or separately, require the city to hire an independent assessor to examine health and hospital facilities for diagnostic equipment. Additionally, pass legislation and funding designated for the training of New York City health and hospital staff in regular in-depth training led by disability organizations. And also pass legislation to establish an office of the patient advocate, which would make certain that these reviews and changes receive appropriate follow-through. Whether or not the legislation moves forward, the council itself should use this hearing to launch its own investigation of these barriers, including at private institutions. Other priorities include opposing rules that would prevent people with disabilities or anyone else from using masks. Laws that criminalize masks will subject people with disabilities to undue scrutiny and risk of negative interactions with police, first responders, and vigilante citizens opposed to mask wearing. Support smarter responses to mental health emergencies, work to preserve remote options, and oppose the closure or reduction of services in safety net hospitals. We've sent our testimony to the Sergeant at Arms, and we're happy to answer any questions or respond afterwards. Thanks for this hearing.
Thank you. Actually, this is really comprehensive, so I appreciate this because you guys have a lot of really good suggestions here, so thank you. Okay, next, go ahead.
Good afternoon, Chair Lee and Chair Narcisse. Thank you for the opportunity to testify. My name is Nina Shields. I'm a pro bono scholar for the Disability Justice Program at New York Lawyers for the Public Interest. As you've said, nearly 1 million New Yorkers have a disability, and anti-discrimination laws, including the ADA, require healthcare providers to ensure full and equal access to medical care for people with disabilities. Despite these legal protections, individuals with all types of disabilities continue to face impediments to accessing healthcare. Adults with disabilities are almost twice as likely as others to report unmet healthcare needs due to the inaccessibility of medical offices. This lack of access leads to poorer health outcomes, including higher mortality rates and shorter life expectancies. For example, although women with disabilities have the same incident rates of breast cancer as women without disabilities, they're one-third more likely to die from it due to delayed screening and treatment. The time for equal, accessible healthcare in New York City is long overdue. Reaching that goal requires addressing the barriers that impede access to care. These include physical barriers like doorways that are too narrow, exam rooms that are too small, as well as a lack of adapted equipment like accessible scales, exam tables, and diagnostic machines. They also include communication barriers like failure to provide a sign language interpreter or information in Braille or large print. This failure to accommodate results in medication errors, misdiagnoses, problems during surgery and anesthesia, among others. Lastly, patients with disabilities face attitudinal barriers from healthcare providers, such as bias and lack of training. This lack of disability competency degrades quality of care and leads to preventable inequities in health outcomes. To address these barriers, New York City healthcare facilities must implement changes to their physical structures and equipment, communication methods, and provider training. Our recommendations to the City Council include passing a resolution requiring New York City providers to comply with anti-discrimination laws to ensure equal access, and including funding in the budget to assist capital improvements at health and hospitals facilities to increase accessibility. We're happy to discuss any of these issues further with the council. If you have any questions, we'll provide more in written testimony. Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Okay. Shall I begin? All right. Thank you, Chair Lee, Chair Narcisse, and the council members of these important committees for holding this hearing allow us to testify. I am Andrew Santa Anna, Interim Co-Executive Director of the Asian American Federation, where we proudly represent the collective voice of more than 70 member nonprofits serving 1.5 million Asian New Yorkers, and also submit more detailed testimony later. We are here today to discuss the state of healthcare access for those living with disabilities. Under the new federal administration's evolving immigration policies, the mental health burden on Asian New Yorkers has exponentially increased, and especially for those struggling with mental health conditions and for those living with disabilities. This challenge is exacerbated by immigrants' growing reluctance to engage with formal systems of care, as they are afraid to go to the hospital or the clinic with the fear of safety for them or their family members in immigration status. So, on top of community members with disabilities seeking care, there's additional levels of challenges. As we've heard today, community members are constantly weighing what they have to come out about, what puts them at risk, what opens them up for stigma, all in search for the possibility that when they speak their truth about their disability, that they could access services. So, due to the chilling effect of these anti-immigrant policies being issued by the federal administration, there's going to be an over-reliance on Asian-serving CBOs to provide critical, responsive mental health services. This comes at a time when the majority of Asian-serving community-based organizations are experiencing significant federal funding cuts that impact their ability to provide social services. So in short, our recommendations are, of course, to ensure that the mental health needs of Asian New Yorkers with disability are prioritized when mental health and social services resources are deployed in response to traumatic or violent incidents. We call on DOHMH and the NYPD to make sure that their services are fully accessible linguistically and in appropriate other ways. We ask for compliance with Local Law 30. And of course, when we're doing these things, having linguistically and culturally competent care readily available. I have more recommendations, but I'll also open to the questions that you might have later on. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Shall I begin? Okay. Good afternoon, Chair Linda Lee and Chair Mercedes Narcisse and members of the committees. Thank you for the opportunity to testify. My name is Sunyoung Lee, and I serve as the bilingual counselor of the Korean American Family Service Center, also known as KAFSC. We support immigrant survivors of gender-based violence through trauma-informed, culturally and linguistically accessible services, including 24-hour crisis response, counseling, housing, legal support, and economic empowerment programs. Every day, we work with the survivors who are living with trauma-related disabilities depression and anxiety, PTSD, and other long-term mental health challenges resulting from abuse, sexual violence, and chronic isolation. For immigrant survivors, especially those with the limited English proficiency, accessing mental health care is already hard. For those with disabilities, it's nearly impossible. Culturally incompetent mental health providers who understand both trauma and disability are severely lacking. And for our clients, the fear of stigma, deportation, and being misunderstood often outweighs the hope of getting help. KFC is a proud member of the Asian American Mental Health Roundtable convened by AAF. Together, we are calling on the city to, number one, prioritize mental health resource for disabled Asian New Yorkers who are survivors of violence. Number two, ensure that crisis response services are inclusive of people with disabilities and language needs. Number three, partner with the trusted community-based organizations like ours who can reach and support these survivors effectively. We urge the city to invest in preventive community-based care that meets survivors where they are before their trauma becomes a lifetime barrier. Thank you for allowing us to speak on this critical issue. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks for being here. And next we have Eleanor Latouche, Chelsea Rose, Neil Kalish, and Sharon Brown. Okay, should we start from this side first this time?
Hi. Can you hear me? Okay. On behalf of the many New Yorkers who live with or care about someone impacted by epilepsy, I want to thank you, Commissioner Chair Lee, Committee Chair Lee, and Chair Narcisse for this opportunity to speak to you about the mental health needs of our constituents. My name is Eleanor Latouche, and I'm the Executive Director of the Epilepsy Institute. We've been doing business as the Epilepsy Foundation of Metropolitan New York for over 50 years. We're New York City's only specialized organization combining epilepsy education, awareness, and advocacy with individualized services such as psychological counseling, psychiatry, vocational supports. Epilepsy is the fourth most common neurological disorder in the world, and 1 in 10 people will have a seizure in their lifetime. The 30% of people living with epilepsy are treatment resistant. At our Article 16 and 31 clinics, our clients report anxiety, isolation, and depression. Depression is the most frequent comorbidity of epilepsy. Our patients are often referred by their medical providers who recognize signs of mental illness. Sometimes that can be not showing up for appointments repeatedly. Our therapists use a variety of modalities, including trauma-informed treatment of depression in both individual and group support sessions, as well as a self-management workshop. When the symptoms of epilepsy or significant side effects from the medication make it difficult to leave the house, we pivot and provide remote services to support our patients to ensure continuity of service. We stand ready to support all New Yorkers through providing holistic supports to patients, families, and the communities. In fiscal '24, we provided 6,200 therapeutic interventions in New York City. The most people we serve receive weekly service. You have the rest.
It's okay. Oh, no, you can
I
summarize it. Yeah,
thank
summarize.
You, thank you. We do provide free seizure first aid to people, New York City agencies and organizations, helping people understand what it looks like to have a seizure, how to respond. We're currently offering seizure first aid to law enforcement and trying to ensure that when people are having a seizure, they're not mistakenly incarcerated for failure to respond. Thank you, and I appreciate your time.
Thank you so much. And we have the written copy, so don't worry, we will read everything.
Good afternoon. My name is Chelsea Rose, and I'm the Policy and Advocacy Manager at Care for the Homeless. Thank you to the members of the committee for the opportunity to testify today. Care for the Homeless has been providing medical and behavioral health services exclusively to people experiencing homelessness in New York City for over 40 years. We operate 23 federally qualified health centers across all 5 boroughs, and they're co-located in shelters, soup kitchens, and drop-in centers. Nearly 40% of the over 12,000 patients we served last year are living with chronic health conditions that qualify as disabilities. Our model of care is built around accessibility, bringing care directly to where people are and removing barriers in a system that is often too complex to navigate, especially for people with co-occurring chronic conditions, psychiatric disabilities, and cognitive impairments. Today, I want to highlight 3 challenges. First, telemedicine, which has become a lifeline for many of our patients, particularly those who are older or managing chronic conditions. Last year, 28% of our visits were done via telehealth, half of which were for behavioral health. Yet Medicaid only reimburses a fraction of the in-person rate. This places an enormous strain on our providers. We urge the council to support payment parity at the state level so we can sustain this essential care model. Second, an aging shelter population. We're seeing older adults with serious mental illness and or dementia in shelters. Long-term care facilities often turn them away, leaving people stuck in shelters that aren't equipped to meet their needs. This leads to fragmented care and a significant strain on an already overburdened system. Third, long-term psychiatric disability. Many of our clients have cycled through hospitals, shelters, in the streets for decades without successfully accessing coordinated care services or stable housing. Hospitals frequently discharge patients with known histories of homelessness and mental illness without a clear path to housing or continuing treatment. Shelters are left to fill the gap, but they are not equipped to manage complex psychiatric needs. These are systemic issues that require systemic solutions. We need telehealth to be fully funded, long-term care options to be expanded, and real pathways to stability for people with chronic mental illness. Thank you for your time and your commitment to health and dignity of all New Yorkers.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Sharon Brown. Before I begin, remember Israel, release the hostages, let Yahweh's people go, defend Israel. Okay, we are implementing the Bible teachings into the health system. We're going to be changing the way the mental health system and the health system is run. The access should be updated, the way people get care. Instead of saying that people are mentally ill, they need to look into the physical disabilities that they do have. That has been largely ignored, and they have been diagnosed with all sorts of things that they don't even have. There have been many newspapers and things to say that many of the diagnoses, up to 50% or more, have been faulty, and the diagnoses are terminal, and there are faulty diagnoses. So we need to change the mental health system. I was hired in, someone wants me to teach their staff about mental health from a biblical perspective. It is a very well-known hospital, and we're going to change everything. We're putting the Bible back in school so that the mental health system that they have there will be removed from there, and the biblical teachings that we have in the churches where the children thrive and succeed, when we teach them things about the mind, how to think, how to live, they're thriving. When I was teaching in church, I was a president of a political organization, and the things that I was teaching the young people, I had people following the example that I set. There was a young lady who became president of her class. There were people thriving. There weren't people that were mentally ill. There was practically no one in the church that was mentally ill. So we're going to institute biblical teachings for the health system.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Brown. Okay, next.
Good afternoon, Chair Lee, Chair Narcisse, and members of the committee. I really appreciate the opportunity to be with you today. It's hard for me to do almost anything in 2 minutes, but I'll try to skim through this succinctly, and you've got my written testimony as well. I represent the United Ambulette Coalition. My name is Neil Kalish, and Chair Lee, I have to say already your office has been a tremendous help to us. I got word from John Wani a short while ago that we have 14 sign-ons to a letter that will go to DOT. That could be tremendous help to us, but I believe we also need legislation. So I'm seeking the City Council support therein. And just briefly, I'll get into the issue itself, but first a bit about ambulettes and what we do. We ensure access for New York City's most vulnerable population, the poor. Originally I said handicapped, but I changed it to disabled. The elderly Medicaid enrollee traveling to medically necessary care and treatment such as dialysis. For the population we serve, transportation is a critical barrier or obstacle. It's not a luxury, it's a necessity. We go door to door. It is not a curb-to-curb service that we provide. We go up and down in non-elevator buildings, flights of steps, escorting patients, carrying wheelchair, I was going to say wheelchair bound, but wheelchair clients residing in non-elevator buildings down flights of steps. During COVID, we worked unfailingly when the city was shut down, when buses, subways, taxis, livery were not working. We were out there to ensure that our clients could get to dialysis treatment and keeping New York City hospitals operational. Keep that in mind. But today, that same commitment that we've shown to New York City's most vulnerable residents is being punished. And what's happening specifically, and the issue that Chair Lee's office has been very helpful with, is MTA vehicles are now equipped with cameras, video cameras. As they pass our vehicles when we're in a bus lane or double parked, and forgive me if I can just take a few more seconds here, they're videoing our vehicle. We may be dropping off a patient inside a facility. We may be double parked in a bus lane adjacent to a patient's residence. We all know that curbside parking is a rarity. We can't be circling around to find those spaces, and we're receiving tickets that are progressive in nature. $50 first time a plate is hit, an ambulette. Second time it's $100, $150, $200. Now we're up to $250. We're not big companies. We're not FedEx and UPS. We're independent providers, and we're getting tickets that amount to thousands of dollars per month. This is an issue that needs to be fixed. The MTA Access-a-Ride program has an exemption. We've spoken to DOT about it. They said that MTA Access-a-Ride, that we're independent companies. Well, Access-a-Ride providers are also contracted with Access-a-Ride. They're independent companies. We need that same exemption. It's the same exemption that we received for congestion pricing based on the services that we provide. We need the exemption. It's great that a letter is going to DOT. I understand from Mr. Wani that legislation is also being worked on. We need that legislation as well. I appreciate your time, and I'm sorry I went a few minutes over. But
No, it's totally fine. And thank you for bringing this issue to light because, as we all know, we're all in a city where we have bicyclists, cars and buses. And, I think, even in Queens where I am, I've seen parts of Queens where you have the parking and then the bike lane, but then what ends up happening is because there's only one service road lane, I actually see the buses, which makes me nervous, going into the bike lanes and around because they're trying to get around the double parked cars. But usually it's to your point, because there are so few drop-off zones to allow for patients to have that ability to get dropped off. So you raise a very good point, and it's trying to figure out a way that we're trying to make everything work for this population, so that they can actually get dropped off at their treatment centers and medical facilities. So
no, we appreciate your help, and there's more to be done, but I think we're off to a good start here.
Yeah, no, thank you.
Thank you.
And I can understand that myself because it's important to drop those patients, and some of them cannot really walk long distance, and you have to make sure you can get them to their doorsteps. So
my own company is thank you. My
Yeah.
own company is taking hundreds of patients in and out of dialysis every day. These patients are exceptionally weak and frail following treatment. We can't. We need to be nearby their residents. nearby their facility as we take them out of the vehicle.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
I appreciate your testimony.
Thank you all.
Thanks.
Okay, so we will now move to Zoom testimony. So please wait for your name to be called to testify and select unmute when prompted. So first up, we have, Mbake Thame, and then next followed by Kathleen Collins.
You may begin.
Mbake, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Can
Oh,
you hear me?
good. Yay. Okay, good to see you online.
Good to see you too. Thank you. My name is Mbake Cham. I'm the Housing and Health Community Organizer at Center for Independence of the Disabled in New York. We advocate for people with disabilities in the five borough of New York City. And thank you for giving us the opportunity to talk about people with disabilities and on evaluating the current state of healthcare access for patients with disabilities. Patients with disabilities have the right to equitable access to healthcare. This includes language assistance. If needed, patients should ask for ASL interpreting or CAR, communication access, real-time translation services, papers in braille, large print, etc. Also, healthcare workers should receive disability training that will educate them on ADA compliance and the accessibility requirements. Patients with mobility issues encounter several barriers to accessing quality healthcare: physical accessibility issues, lack for accessible medical equipment, etc. Including a consultant with a mobility disability to advise the operators of healthcare facilities may help reduce its mobility barriers. Insurance coverage can also present numerous challenges for patients with disabilities or chronic disease. Some insurance coverage charge co-pays that are high for disabled people. Also, they may fail to cover emergency needs for the patients with disabilities. For example, one of our consumers who had issues with his wheelchair and his insurance did not cover wheelchair replacement or repair. Again, we thank you
Thank
so
you. Your
much.
time expired.
Thank
you
you,
can
Councilmember Lipari. Thank you, everyone, for giving us the opportunity to testify.
Great, thank you. And next we have Kathleen Collins, and then followed by Miranda DeNovo.
You may begin.
Thank you. Good afternoon, and thank you for having this hearing. My name is Kathleen Collins. I'm a native New Yorker who's a congenital quadruple amputee who uses a wheelchair, and I'm a member of several disability organizations, including on the Board of Disabled in Action of Metropolitan New York. I already submitted some written testimony, which I may also amend later. But I first of all like to thank Councilman Botcher for bringing up the whole thing about Access-a-Ride and about transportation. And that is one of the things I was thinking this committee could actually work on, is about the fact that we experience high stress in trying to get transportation to our medical appointments, especially with Access-a-Ride. And I've heard of many times people missing their appointments because of Access-a-Ride and that. And also the fact that when you make your appointment, you have to kind of guess estimate when your appointment will be done. And there's the stress of, will I be reached before I have to leave this appointment? But I give you some solutions. One is the eHealth pilot program that the MTA has started, and that should be expanded to more people. And the price right now it's $4, which is not a economic hindrance for me, but it is for many of our people. So therefore, if we could bring it down to what everybody else has to pay for transportation, which is $2.90, and that the number of rides not be limited. Right now, the number of rides are limited, so you have to determine which rides do I need to have real-time access to transportation versus accessory. So that's another thing. Also, I appreciate Councilwoman Lewis's statement concerning about disability service facilitators and how you can't find that information. And even on these 5-year accessibility programs, even the one for DOH, it's not in the accessibility plan. It's somewhere else on the website. It just says their email address, but does not give a telephone number. It does not give a relay number or TD.
Thank you. Your time expired.
Oh, sorry, you can, no, go ahead and summarize, sorry.
Okay, well, that's just another example. And just two other things I want to bring to your attention is one, there is no grandfathering provision in the ADA. It doesn't allow grandfathering. I don't know, that's a myth that people believe, but it doesn't exist. And just the other thing in their plan, that they don't set forth any deadlines. And we know that in their plan, they talk about a compliance assessment that was in 2019, but what happened with that? And we worry about when you don't have deadlines, such as in these plans, things just keep moving down the road and things never get done. So please, we need more of that. And who would we go to on the city council about these different accessibility plans, about them coming up with a better response?
If you're talking about transportation specifically with Accessoride, for example, or no, is that?
It would be all the accessibility plans. They all seem to have used the same kind of format, and they don't give deadlines. They don't give specifics on what they're doing and how they're going to do it. And
Right.
even the one here with DOH, it talks about meeting a 5-pound force requirement, but it's not 5 pounds force the requirement. It's less than 5 pounds. And even with the ADA is not a minimum, is a minimum guideline. It's not a high standard. I mean, these are all things that people don't understand, and I think that's leading people down the wrong path.
So yes, this is actually a relatively new law that was passed and put in place, and so the agencies, well, one of the places to go is the folks that are in charge of putting the report out with each agency. So that's one place, but ultimately MOPD is the one that is monitoring the 5-year accessibility plans for all the agencies.
And just one committee of the council deal with the MOPD in specific?
Yeah, this committee, yes.
Oh, okay. All right, so then I'll have to write a letter to you guys.
Yes,
Thank
yes.
you.
No, if you want, we can have a follow-up conversation after this.
I would really appreciate
Okay.
that. Thank you.
Great. Okay, and then next we have Miranda DeNovo, followed by Melissa O'Brien.
You may begin.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Miranda Stinson DeNovo, and I'm the founder of Long COVID Safety Net, which advocates for people with long COVID and other infection-associated chronic illnesses, such as ME/CFS, to get better access to healthcare and social services. I'm here today to testify about an overlooked issue that affects this growing population and many others, and that's communication access. Specifically, how healthcare in New York City continues to be inaccessible for people who are unable to make phone calls, whether because of an auditory disability or a speech disability. For context on how I'm using these terms, auditory disabilities include being deaf or hard of hearing, but can also include auditory processing disorders. In my community of people with long COVID, a common and perhaps surprisingly disabling symptom is hyperacusis, or extreme sensitivity to sound, which can make holding a telephone call extremely painful, if not downright impossible. One person I have worked with has such severe hyperacusis that she would sometimes experience seizure-like episodes and lose her ability to speak, leading the person on the other end of the phone to inevitably hang up. Speech disabilities, of course, can come in a myriad of shapes and sizes. So in the interest of time, I'm going to borrow the broad definition used by the advocacy nonprofit Communication First to encompass anyone who, quote, cannot rely on speech alone to be heard and understood. This can include people with developmental disabilities, including autism, brain injury and stroke survivors, people with neuromuscular disorders like cerebral palsy or ALS, and more. In the context of long COVID, there are at least two common reasons why someone might have difficulty speaking. The first being cognitive symptoms that affect things like word recall and ability to structure a sentence, and the second being extreme fatigue and muscle weakness. Even if a person can muster the energy to speak a few words, at this level of severe illness, it will almost certainly trigger debilitating symptoms after the fact, a phenomenon known in the ME/CFS community as post-exertional malaise. Just because someone is not able to speak does not mean that they do not have access to language or that they are not capable of self-directing their own medical care if given the option to do so in writing. Frustratingly, even when it is explicitly requested
Thank
as
you.
an
Your time
accommodation under the
expired.
ADA.
Oh, no, if you could just wrap up in a couple sentences.
Okay,
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Even when it's explicitly requested as an accommodation under the ADA, many medical institutions and social services agencies refuse to communicate with patients via email or text message, incorrectly citing HIPAA. While appointing a loved one or caregiver as a healthcare proxy may be an option for some, this presents undue administrative burden and requires patients to give up a crucial piece of their autonomy, often at significant risk to their safety. In the worst case scenario, this opens the door for caregiver abuse. And I just want to reiterate, I'll send in the rest of the testimony, but there is no rule in HIPAA that says you can't communicate with patients in writing. It's just something that takes some setup to do. Long COVID might be a new phenomenon to some extent, but these are not new requests. A lot of them are things the deaf community and autistic community have been asking for decades. And in the spirit of universal design, I want to remind you that if you make an accommodation that helps one community, you're going to improve the lives of another community as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And as you said, it's requests that are not new, but this population is new. So I just want to thank you for shedding light to that issue. And hopefully this is something that can create more coalition around advocacy. So thank you. Okay, next up we have Melissa O'Brien, followed by Christopher Leon Johnson.
You may begin.
Hi, thank you. My name is Melissa O'Brien. I'm the Medical Director of Psychiatric Services at Project Renewal, a nonprofit that's been serving New Yorkers experiencing homelessness, mental illness, and substance use for over 55 years. Today, I want to talk about how people with mental illness and disabilities have been left behind by our healthcare system that simply isn't designed with them in mind. Many of our clients struggle to access care because of long wait times, crowded clinics, and confusing paperwork. For someone experiencing severe symptoms of mental illness or living with trauma, just sitting in a waiting room can be too much. For example, a patient diagnosed with schizophrenia may be experiencing paranoia, auditory hallucinations, or delusions. These symptoms can create additional barriers to pursuing and receiving care for a cancer diagnosis. The patient may have difficulty navigating complex language, difficulty scheduling appointments, difficulty understanding next steps, difficulty in crowded waiting rooms, and difficulty sitting through tests, and also following through with medication regimens. At Project Renewal, we've stepped in. Our staff help clients make appointments, explain medical instructions, escort them to providers, and ensure that they don't fall through the cracks. This includes our occupational therapy team, which plays a unique and essential role. Our OTs help clients build routines, manage appointments, and gain confidence to engage in care. It's a model that works, but is not funded at a scale that is needed. We also face huge system barriers like pharmacy restrictions, Medicaid red tape, reimbursement for telehealth, and long wait times for specialists like neurology, which is critical for our aging clients with head trauma or dementia. Our staff often spend hours resolving these issues. We've created solutions like in-house psychiatry, mobile medical clinics, but we can't do it all alone. We're asking the council to invest in community-based care teams, expand psychiatric and specialty care access, support transportation for people who can't use public transit, and fund the bridge services that keep people connected to care. Access to healthcare should not depend on whether someone has a case manager who can spend hours navigating broken systems, but should be a right. Thank you for the opportunity to testify, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Great, thank you so much. And next we have Christopher Leon Johnson.
Yeah, hello. My name is Christopher Leon Johnson. I'm at Home Depot right now doing some gardening. So I want to speak on behalf of this committee, and I want to show my support for it. And I want to show my support. And at the same time, I want to make sure that the people that have like lesser than serious mental illnesses are able to access the same mental health, same services, because I see that they don't. The city and the state doesn't cater to anybody who don't have like less than serious mental illnesses like bipolar disorder, and only they give people who have schizophrenia and psychosis. Until that happens, nothing's going to be accomplished in the city with this stuff. We have a big mental illness crisis in the city, and and everybody know the symptoms are, but they don't treat it as disabilities. Treat it as disabilities. These people are able to get the help they should be getting. At the same time, I see that there was certain hearings talking about the masks, about face masks and stuff like that. I understand for people that are disabled, but that should only be the exemptions for people who are disabled and people who have health issues, not people that are going over the city and committing crimes for the guise of politics like Palestine or Israel. It shouldn't be like that. Let's keep that 100%. Like I said, but going back to mental health, there need to be a bigger outreach and overall definition to mental health and mental illness in the city of New York, other than just making like you have to be a real psychiatric, like psychosis or schizophrenia to be helped. What about people? What about people with bipolar disorder? Help people who have less mental illnesses. At the same time, we have to make sure that these people are taken care at the clubhouses too. We had to hear last month about those. So we need to take care, make sure the people are taken care of with clubhouses also. And yeah, so like I said, bipolar disorder and mental illnesses need to be classified as serious mental illnesses. But in that, it's not nothing going to work. So I got to go. I got to do some gardening. So
Thank you. Your time has expired.
Peace. Enjoy your day. Later.
Thank you and happy gardening. Okay, so I'm just gonna call a bunch of names, and if you are here, please let us know you're here. If we missed you, we apologize. So I'm just gonna go through a few names. Glenn Belofsky, Alex Stein, Ju Han, Sarah Fajardo, Carla Rabinowitz, Ryan Benscoter, Avon Para. Okay, Avon Para, I believe you just signed on. So if you are here, let us know.
I'm here.
Oh, okay, perfect. So you have 2 minutes, so the Sergeant at Arms will start your time. Hold on.
You may begin.
Give me 1 second. Okay. So thank y'all for having me. There's a real inadequacy when it comes to the Gender Act in the hospitals and the care that patients receive because of their gender identity. And it's been a really, really bad situation for me, and as well as a tragic and devastating situation for one of the community advocates that passed away this past week from a hospital being negligent first with handling their care. And there needs to be some things that change about that. Like, staff needs to be trained in these hospitals that the Gender Act, on the Gender Act, because it's the law, and they're violating people's legal rights now when they're going to these hospitals, calling them sirs or calling them out of their preferred name, and sometimes even giving them lackluster care because of their gender identity. And that's not right. That's all I have.
Great, thank you so much for bringing light to this this important issue, so thank you. Okay, and really quickly, I'd like to acknowledge we've been joined by Councilmember Sylvina Brooks Powers. Do you have any questions? Okay, great. Okay, so thank you to everyone who has testified. If there is anyone present in the room or on Zoom that has not had the opportunity to testify, please raise your hand. Okay, seeing no one else, I would like to note that written testimony, which will be reviewed in full by committee staff, may be submitted to the record up to 72 hours after the close of this hearing by emailing it to testimony@council.nyc.gov. And especially for folks online, if there's any follow-up, I want to thank all of you for sharing your testimony, especially Avon. I know you just joined us, but appreciate all of you bringing these issues to light. They are all very important issues, and so thank you all. And I believe with that, I just want to conclude our hearing and close out. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Oh my God.